This is seriously like a really intimidating crowd to speak to, just so you guys all know.
I like it.
It's kind of fun.
It's more like just a brainstorm fun session than like...
Yeah, than a typical speaking.
Yeah.
It's fun. Okay, so we've been shifting the schedule around a little bit. We're going to do this later on in the day, but I'm going to do this right now. So when we first started planning the whole invisible funnel stuff and this whole event and what we wanted to do and talk about, I was looking at things that Dagan's really, really strong at and things I'm strong at. And from a storytelling and story selling standpoint, he's the best. And I was looking at all his presentations. I'm like, dang, that stuff's all so cool. I'm like, what value can I bring? What things can I bring that complement that are different, that are unique, and that would help a group of people of your guys' caliber? And I've really spent probably the last 2 years or so writing a lot of copy. And I've learned some really cool, unique, different things. And so this isn't like a copywriting presentation because I don't consider myself a copywriter. But I've learned some interesting things on how we structure words and language patterns and things like that that have been really, really effective. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about right now.
So I get to take notes.
If you want, yeah.
Awesome.
So it should be fun. Okay, the title of my presentation is actually Inception. Who here saw the movie Inception? Who here thought that was actually a good movie, right? It was amazing, right? And so the whole concept for this presentation came a couple months back. Who here has watched Rippling roll out, the Rippling launch? Some of you guys? So when that whole thing came to us, I had a chance to meet the owners and stuff like that, and they wanted me to get involved, and I laughed at them, and I said, the problem is like all network marketers, like your sales processes are so horrible and embarrassing and bad, and I just don't want to be part of it because those are so bad. And they're like, well, we need you to come on board then and help us make the sales videos and the sales process. And they twisted my arm a lot. I tried for like 6 months to tell them no, and then they kept making the offers better and better. Finally, I'm like, all right, let's just do this. And so they wanted me to come and like help them with the marketing. And so initially they came out with all these videos and this message to kind of explain what Rippling was. And I remember it just really bugged me. I was looking at all the stuff, and it was so I can't really explain what it was. They were technically following like all the rules of copywriting, right? They were doing the right things. They're doing stuff. What's that? But they were boring. It was just like there was something about it. And I wrote an email actually to Jonathan Budd about this. And I wanted to quote this because I think it's important. I said what I found in copy is if you just tell someone something, then it's not as strong and doesn't get the emotion needed to cause action. I think that to really make any concept go viral and get people's buy-in, we have to lead them somewhere, but we can't give them the answer. They have to come up with it. We plant it in their minds with the story, and if they come up with the answer, then they've sold themselves, and that'll cause the action. Does that make sense? And Jonathan wrote back and said, dude, that's like effing Inception. If you guys know Jonathan, he swears all, that's like effing Inception, let's do it. And so they put me the task to go and write the sales videos, or the launch videos. And if you've watched the launch videos, they've obviously done really, really well. And it's kind of funny from from my standpoint. One morning I got a text at like 4 in the morning from someone, and it said, dude, you made it on TechCrunch. And I was like, what? Like I got all excited, right? I think it was Todd sending me. And then he's like, the second text came in, it's not good, send. I'm like, I was like, oh crap. So I like roll over in bed and I pull my phone, I go to TechCrunch. And sure enough, the leading article said what not to do in your pre-launch sales video, and underneath it was my sales video and my voice, my words, and then line by line, the author went through every single line about what I said and why it was stupid. And I started watching this. I'm like sitting again 4 in the morning reading this, like, are you serious? Like, and I started going through the process and I started reading it, and it made me laugh because every single thing that he had made fun of, every single word for word point he made fun of, like, was there for a very distinct purpose and caused the exact action we wanted to cause. And what's interesting, Todd was actually heckling. It was really funny. Like after they talked trash about it, and then he was making fun about how I was like prophesying that it was going to go viral and we're going to see it on the news and blogs are going to write about it and all this kind of stuff. And it was like 7 days into it, we had like 150,000 members already. And Todd just posted in there like, looks like they were right. And it was kind of funny. And we had this, anyway, this big battle on TechCrunch. But that's kind of the power behind what I'm talking about is how do you create something that doesn't just sell? Like a lot of people are salespeople and they just sell the thing, right? And I've been really trying over the last 2 years to create a process or create writing in a way that we kind of introduce an idea or introduce something, but then they're the ones that come up with the idea. Because if it's their idea, then they buy every single time. Okay, with the Rippling videos, if you watch how those were crafted and scripted, I never once said that, hey, big companies are screwing you over. I wasn't blunt, just said what it was. I just put these ideas out there and kind of tossed them up in the air, and in a certain format where people were like, oh, they grab them together, and all of a sudden they're like, holy crap, I just figured this thing out. They had the epiphany, right? And Dagan's gonna be talking a lot tonight about epiphany, which is exciting. But that's kind of the process. And so what I'm gonna be showing you guys is just some things I found out that have been working for me, and I hope that there's one or two of these tricks that you guys can throw into your bag of tricks. Where I use these tools, there are a couple places. I write a lot of scripts for like webinar registration scripts, invisible funnel scripts, email scripts. I mean, there's a lot of places you can use it at. So again, I'm not just saying this is how you write a video script, anything like that. That's not the point. It's just here are tools you can use in all forms of communication that work really, really well. Okay. Now to begin with, I want to just kind of vent a little bit on one of my pet peeves. We launched the .com Secrets Labs newsletter. Who saw that or got a copy of that? A couple of you guys. Was it awesome?
Loved it.
Okay, I actually brought a copy for all you guys. We're going to give it to you on Saturday. But basically, we started this new thing in our company where we are doing tons of split testing and data and just really cool stuff. And each month, we're putting in all of our split tests into a newsletter and mailing it out. Our first issue had 24 different split tests in it. That some of them were just like groundbreaking and just some really cool stuff. And I went out to the marketing community to ask people to submit split tests to me so we could see other ones we could put in there. And it made me laugh because some of the people were submitting split tests that they don't understand the split testing concept. They don't understand the difference between like warm traffic and cold traffic. And I just want to kind of, before I get into this, have everyone understand there's a big difference. Okay, I had people that are like, yeah, this page converts at 76%. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty amazing. Like I wish I had a page that converted 76%. I started digging deeper and deeper, and they're like, well, I sent it to my own list of buyers. There were 12 of them. And like, okay, like that's not a split test. I don't care what you think. And so there's a big difference between warm traffic and cold traffic, and how we communicate is very different on all different aspects of it. Just for a good example, like our .com Secrets X product is very much spoken to the lowest level if you watch it, which is why it converts so good. It's 2 years and it's just keeping better and better and better. But the squeeze pages, when we buy squeeze pages from like internet marketing traffic, we're talking about list building on the front, whereas the other one's making money. So I found a really cool quote from Gene Schwartz. He said, if your prospect is aware of your product and realizes it can satisfy his desires, your headline starts with the product. Okay, so warm traffic. If he's aware of it already. Okay, so come over here, the most aware. So if your prospect's already aware of it, then you can lead your headline, you're leading with the product, right? If he's not aware of your product but only has the desire itself, your headline starts with desire. If he's not yet aware of what he really seeks but is only concerned with the general problem, your headline starts with that problem and crystallizes into a specific need. Okay? So down here on like the cold, like super cold end of the spectrum, you're focusing on, boom, we are focusing on desire. No, sorry. This is problem. We focus on problem. If it's in the middle, you're focusing on desire. And over here, you're focusing on the product. Okay? This is important because I don't know about you guys, but for all of our campaigns, we have different landing pages for all of them. Like we have a diabetic supplement, and every type of traffic source has a different type of landing page. Like they're all very, very different. And so whenever people come to me like, oh, this page converts at X%, it means it's either they're lying to you or it's just based on one source of traffic, because every source is different, as a lot of you guys know. And so I just want to start with that, is just understanding that in your copy, in the things you're doing, like if it's your existing list, everything you're doing is different. You're focusing on the product base at that point, right? If you're brand new traffic coming back in, you're focusing down here. I heard a really interesting podcast the other day about someone who, she's a really good marketer. She was talking about how she hates all the conversion stuff because she likes having branding on her site and people can understand her personality, all that kind of stuff. And so because of that, she doesn't want to focus on conversion. She just wants to focus on like building her brand. And I wanted to like reach through the podcast and yell at her and be like, look, this is the deal. Your front end that you're driving your cold traffic to needs to be the most, whatever converts the best. And then after they're on your list, then you can send them all your pretty ones, because then you're branding. And so the conversion, everything's different here than over here. We've got pages over here that our list convert at 40, 50, 60%. But if I sent cold traffic to them, I'm getting like 0.5%. You know what I mean? So that's something I just want to kind of to preface, is understanding there's a way big difference between cold and warm traffic and how we're doing stuff. And because if you just take this stuff and just apply it, and you're doing product-based stuff and trying to send cold traffic to it, you're never going to have success. Where if you come over here, cold traffic, you're going to kill it. that make sense, you guys? Cool. All right. Okay, now I want to talk about the evolution of copywriting, because I think it's changed a lot, and I don't think anybody really knows about it yet. So I want to tell you about what's happening, because it's freaking me out and it's exciting. About 2 years ago, there was an offer that came out, and I'm used to hear people tell stories about, like, if there's a good offer, like, affiliates will come. People will come and promote it. And I'd heard that, but I'd never really seen it before. There's this offer that came out in the biz ops space, and he didn't do a product launch. He didn't tell anybody about it. I just got an email saying, hey, this offer, someone promoted it, did really good, you should test it out. So I sent an email to a set of part of our list just to test it out, and we got over $10 affiliate EPC. So my check was $10 for every click I sent. So it was over $20 EPC on this product. And I was like, holy crap, I can send a lot of traffic if I'm making 10 bucks a click. So we started just driving insane amounts of traffic to it. I told someone, he told someone, and within like 3 months, he made over $10 million with that offer. No product launch, no nothing, just because the offer converted, and it converted awesome. And I looked at the page and I was like, why is this doing so well? Like, I got to figure out behind the scenes. I started looking at it, and the way the copy was written was different. Not just from like a verbal standpoint, but the structure of it, the layout, like a whole bunch of things were different. And I was like, this is really, really, really weird. And so I tried to find out. I called the guy. I said, who wrote your copy? And he told me the guy. He said, this is the guy that wrote the copy. And so I called the guy up and just kind of, I gotta get to know you. Like, what do you do? And I don't think he even really knows what he does. I invited him. I invited him here. I wanted him to come because I've been like dissecting this. And so I hired him to write a letter for me, and he's really expensive. He wrote the first letter, and he comes back the same format. I was like, this is interesting. So we started driving traffic. It was whoever saw my Illuminati offer. Yeah. That was the one he wrote for me, and we sent some traffic to it, and it blew up. It was a $97 a month continuity program, and in the first like 4 days we'd hit $100,000, and our merchant account at the time limited $100,000. So we had to like tell all of our affiliates to stop. And then we got death threats on the phone from people who, like some Illuminati people. Like it. Can you imagine? So we're sitting there. Let me step back. So we're sitting there in the office, and my secretary's like, and we're kind of a small office. Everyone's sitting around and like, hey Russell, we just got a death threat on the phone. I'm like, what? She puts it on speakerphone for everybody to hear about how this guy's going to come and blow up our building and he wants to kill us all. And I'm like, that's not like the kind of thing you want your employees to all hear. So we stopped driving traffic to that offer, but it was working amazingly. So I started looking at other things he had created, and I started promoting his offers just to see like consistency. And every single time it was like $8 EPC, $6 EPC, $7.50, like just affiliate EPC, like after like our cut. And I was just like, this is amazing. And I started dissecting what he was doing and learned some really, really interesting things. So the first thing that's really interesting is if you look at the structure, that's why I wanted to use the Elmo right here. I want to show you guys, this is, oh crap, you didn't print this right. Oh well. I'll show it to you anyway. Okay, so if you look at the structure of how the copy is written, because this is important, this part of it. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that very well. You don't need to read the words. That's not the point. The point is only the structure. Okay, a couple things to notice. First off, every sentence is like 4 to 5 words. Okay, there's never a line that goes 2 lines. Very short, very fast, very easy to read. At the end of almost every single line is ... These ellipses that pull you through. Okay, it's really interesting. If you read this, I'm going to read a couple of these to you guys. They're written at a very, very basic, like first grade level. Very interesting. Like I had Mike Morgan write copy for me. He sent me the letter, and it's like, it was like a typical like sales letter. Like he followed all the rules, and I was like, And so I sent him a bunch of these sales letters. I'm like, can you just change the whole thing and structure it like this? I sent him like 5 or 6 of this guy's sales letters. Like, look at all these guys' sales letters. Copy this format. He came back, and he was able to write the sales letter in like a day as opposed to like 5 or 6 days for the first thing. Went way faster. He told me, he said that he's like, I feel like I'm writing at a first grade level, and he's like, and it's powerful. It sucks you through this process. So the first thing is just the structure of it, okay? We'll get deeper into the other parts, but the structure is very, very important because look how unintimidating that is to read. Do you guys see that? Like you see that, and you can start flying through these sales letters. They're also very, very fast to write. I can write an entire sales letter, like a 15 to 20 page sales letter that normally would take me 3 to 5 days. I can write in about 2 hours now. I can write more copy now than, it's just amazing how much stuff we can produce going through this style, okay? Another interesting thing is all of them are based around, the first thing is they're all based around one singular idea. It's not like 3 or 4 or 5, it's one singular idea. There's only one focus of the entire thing. Anyone here? The entire sales letter is one idea. There's not 3 ideas, not 5. It's just there's only one thing they're focusing on the entire thing.
Is it one problem, one solution, you mean? Or?
Yeah, yeah, just one. Yeah, it's not like we're gonna teach you this and this and this. It's just one thing. Anyone here ever read the book Great Leads by Michael Masterson? That book is phenomenal. Chapter 1. After going through this process, I started like. I had my own opinion. I noticed that with this guy's copy, he never used bullet points ever. There was never a single bullet point, never a feature or benefit, never once did he ever even talk about the product. Goes the same thing we talked about with the infomercials and the sales, the call center. Like the product is not the important part. The important part is the emotion, right? And I noticed like he never put a bullet point in any of these things. And so when I started writing this stuff this way, I never put bullet points in it. And for me, it was liberating because I hated writing bullet points, like figuring out these features and benefits. And so we cut out all the bullet points. And when I read Masterson's book, I was on a flight and I read the very first chapter talking about the first type of leads. And I read this paragraph in here and I started like literally like cheering in my seat because I was like, yes, I'm not just crazy. I had validation of my thought process. I think bullet points destroy your sales letter. And this is what Masterson said. He said, most copywriters conjure up a list of features and benefits and create ads that mention as many of them as possible. The thinking behind this approach goes something like this. I wonder which of these benefits will really push the buttons I want. I don't know. I guess what I'll do is I'll just throw all of them in the promotion. That way if one doesn't work, maybe another will. This is what is called toss salad approach to advertising copy. Throw everything on the counter into a big wooden bowl, marinate it with some connecting sentences and toss. It's a standard recipe for a B-level copywriter, but it's not the way to win any blue ribbons in the competition kitchen of breakthrough advertising. I read that, I was like, that makes so much sense to me because as soon as you start introducing bullet points and features, like you're distracting him. Okay, the focus of good copy is not the sales, it's not the product. Okay, it's the emotion, it's the story, it's all this storytelling stuff that Dagan's gonna get into. This is the focus of the sales. That's what drives you through. And as soon as you start bringing up, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so. My video's out converting everybody else's. Yep. The features and the benefits derail you. It takes you off of this path that you're trying to drive someone down through. Okay. Okay. Next thing is again, you're selling hope. You're not selling the product. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So I actually wanted to read you a couple, just like intros of some of these scripts. So you can kind of see the way that they flow. So the first time I ever did this, Brett and I were flying. Where were we flying? In Baltimore. We wrote the Overcome Pornography. So we have a product, we own overcomepornography.com, helping people with their pornography addictions.
What's all porn?
And I don't know how to answer it. What's that? Yes. Anyway, so we're getting into this niche, right? And I have no idea if people are going to buy it, so I'm not going to go spend like 15 grand on a copyright and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, we just got to write this stuff. So Brent actually took the first whack at it, kind of wrote like a presentation. It was pretty good. We could put it out there, and it wasn't really converting that good. And then we were flying somewhere. Oh yeah, we're flying to Rich's office. And Brent's like, can you just try to write this thing? Like, let's just. And he puts the laptop on my lap, and I was like, I'm going to write this as if I'm this other cop. The guy's name is Mike Williams. I'm going to write just like I'm Mike Williams. I'm going to pretend like I'm him. I'm going to write his style. I'm going to do little bullet points, do dot, dot, dot. I'm just going to follow this path. And so I sat down and started just typing as fast as I could. Didn't do any editing, just boom, 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 boom. And within like 3 or 4 hours, this very first version of Sales Letter came through, which has done awesome for us. So I'm going to just take you, and some of the stuff Dagan's going to talk a lot about, like with your storytelling, like starting in a place of high drama. So some of these things you'll learn about coming up. But I just wanted you kind of to feel the emotion that we're taking someone through on this. And imagine like the advertising source. So we're advertising on porn sites. So if you are on a porn site and you see a big banner that says feeling guilty, that's me. Okay, so if you click on that, you can actually see my video. Or we also and if you've seen it, that's not good. I've heard this video before, Russell. And then we also have exit pops. So when people leave a porn site, we pop up and we're like, hey. Okay, so I'm coming to someone. Holy cow, we went from inappropriate to like just off.
Like, why not master it? Why shoot yourself?
Okay, so put yourself in that state, right? So you just left the site, you're done, whatever, and you're feeling a little guilty. This is where we pick up the story. Okay, it happened again, didn't it? To you or to someone you love. I know your story. Everyone's situation is different, but the results are usually the same. Let me know if this sounds familiar. It's around 11:30 at night, your spouse just fell asleep, you're tired, but something keeps nagging at you. You decide to get up, just to check your email, maybe look at an eBay or Craigslist for something you know you really want or need. And a few minutes later, it happens. Again, you have no idea how you got there, but you're there. You knew it would happen, even though you won't admit it. You have a second of hesitation, but you know it's already too late. 1 hour turns into 2, and then 2 into 3. You know you're going to be tired tomorrow for work, but at this point, you don't really care. You know the shame and the guilt you're going to feel, the look of the pain in your eyes when you look at your loved ones, but it's already too late. For some of you, this story happens often. For some of you, it just happened right now. That's why you're here, right? You guys feel that? Is that better than like, who else wants to know the secret of blah, 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 blah? Anyway. And in fact, I don't even believe in headlines, you guys. Like, that's how crazy I'm right now. Like, most of our headline tests, like, headlines aren't always helping. Like, I think sucking someone's story fast through that is way better than, like, discover the #1 secret to blah. No, like, just start the story, and as soon as like, it happened again, didn't it? Like, if you were just on a porno site and all of a sudden that pops up and says that, you're going to be like, what the crap? like, you are engaged from the second you start, right? And then, boom, this video sucks you in, and we're telling this story, and we're talking about the pain you feel and the emotion and all this kind of stuff. And we don't go into the details of the product and blah, 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 all that kind of crap. All we're saying is, like, we've got a solution that can help, and we know where you're at right now. Okay, it's interesting. If you looked at our old call center scripts, the way that it would work is you get on the phone with somebody, and what's interesting is, like, the internet's a little different, because usually someone finds you on the internet, they're still in that state of pain, right? But when we're calling them on the phone, they were in pain earlier, that's why they bought the thing. We're calling them a day later, a week later, so they're not really in pain. So our first step in our process is get them on the phone, and then we have to bring them back down to that exact same spot where they felt that exact same pain that made them take the action. Whether it was buying a how to make money product or weight loss, whatever it was, that pain that they were feeling right then, we have to get them back to that as quick as we can. And so when we pick up on the phone, there's this whole process of questions that's bringing them down here to the lowest point. Okay, and it's hard because you got to build a relationship, trust someone while you get them to like spill their guts about why their life's horrible. Okay, and what's interesting though is because the next step of the script is then you have to show them the vision, right? This is what is possible. This is what we can have. This is the dreams you want to go after. And what's interesting is that when you call someone on the phone, they are so excited to tell you about all their problems. Like, this part's usually easier. They're like, oh yeah, my life sucks. My wife left me. This happened here. Like, blah 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 blah. And as soon as you ask them what their dreams are, they don't know. All they know is they're angry and they're pissed and they're miserable. Yeah. And so it's interesting. So your job, and we know this from the phones, a lot of times you don't know that until you actually talking to your customers. And because we're internet nerds, most of us don't talk to our customers. But when you start talking to them, what you realize is that they don't know what they want. And so you have to paint that picture of what it could be and what it is. Okay? Like I was talking about earlier when Dagan was talking, is that the other thing is with people, there's two paths. There's the people that move towards pleasure and the people that move away from pain. And you have to understand that because you're speaking to two different audiences. But the reality is the majority of people, for us, usually the stronger hook is always moving away from pain. And so if we can paint that picture of pain and then show them what it's like to leave pain, that's what they want. Okay? And in the call center script, and I'm telling this because it kind of relates back to everything, it's interesting because people at this point are like, well, what's it going to cost? What's the product? It's like, the product, that doesn't even matter, dude. We're talking about you right now. Okay? Like, well, I want to think about it for a little bit. Like, you've been thinking about this for a long time. You bought this thing 3 weeks ago. You're still broke. It's not about the product. It's about you. It's about your issues. It's about you're struggling with your pornography addiction, or you're poor, or you're fat, or you don't have a girlfriend, or whatever the business is. And you have to bring that out, and that's the focus. The focus is not the product. Okay? All right, does that make sense? Yep. Cool. Let's see. Now my thing's all out of order. Okay, cool. All right, so that's the first thing I want to talk about, is this structuring thing, because, yeah.
Could you say anything? Or you just lecture through?
What's that?
You say comment, question, anything like that?
Sure.
Okay, no, maybe because of my unique perspective, having a religious background and a Bible background, but all of these things talk about people needs and support. They are right there. That's how the Old Testament prophets wrote. If you look at the structure of their books, that's how they started out with the problem and get the people to feel support and said, we need to make a change, and they end with a vision. Okay, now.
Where there's no vision, the people perish, right? Where there's no vision, the people perish.
Right, but
you got to paint that.
Same structure, that's it is.
Yep.
So even with these structures, they are very old structures. Huh. But sometimes as soon as you mention Bible, people think, well, religion has support. But it's all persuasion as well, to getting people to make a decision and leading from the problem make them understand where you really have a problem. Then you tell them what there's a solution, and then they end with the vision. That's how all the Old Testament books are written.
Yeah. And they say, what's the product? The product is you'll be rid of this pain. Yeah, the product, you're rid of the pain. It's not this feature and this benefit and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Just need to know, yeah.
Are you going to talk about a little bit how you close your overcome board?
No. You interested?
I'm afraid to ask that question.
Okay.
I have the opposite website, masturbator.com.
Oh dear
Wanna
me,
go
that's
pro?
you? Have I traffic on your site?
Who here wants to go pro? You deserve better.
Advertising might be primary graphic or whatever is getting more right into that like conversation and store versus like a signature slide my own.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Most sales letters I've ever gotten back from good
Sorry,
copywriters,
thing.
they come back. I usually chop off the first like page and a half, delete it, and then get right to like the point. Like, again, when Dagan talks about this is my biggest epiphany I got from Dagan with this whole process you guys to learn is you always start in a place of high drama. When he said that, I was just like, dude, that's it. And it made sense. I went back to all my sales letters and deleted the first like 20 slides and just started because like started the point of high drama. He'll get into that. I don't want to ruin that part because it's powerful, but.
A movie might start you right in the
Yeah, who's here seen Cliffhanger? Do you remember that movie? It starts them like going over the thing and like, they die, and you're just like, and then the movie starts, but you're just like, you're in, like, game over. Okay. Oh, what's that?
I was going to say, so it's like you're in the high drama of that story, and then you might go back to the context and how you got there, or like what sometimes.
We'll talk about that. Dave can talk about that. I don't want to ruin it because it's good. Anyway, so my basic thing though is first off is structure. Okay.
Pressure.
When you guys start, I'll send you guys out a copy of like 5 or 6 sales letters written this way. Read through them and just see like the structure because I promise you, when you learn this thing, it's so freeing. You can write stuff so much faster, so much more efficiently, so much more effectively, and I think it's the best stuff in the world. So that's the first one.
One question. So you're saying that Catch on Something's going to help you better create sales letters and copyright? Is that what you're saying right now?
Yeah, I'll send you guys a bunch of my swipe files, just so you can see how, again, this process, how we're writing, where it's basically a whole bunch of half sentences that drive people. Like once you start this path, you can't get off it. That's what I found. You start reading the first line or two, and then it's just like this fast journey, and there's no typical copywriting. You got these big paragraphs and headlines. It's just you start running, and I don't know. It's out-converted everything I've ever done ever, and we've promoted a lot of stuff.
VSLs?
Yep, we just save script for VSLs. Yep.
You use this for your affiliate bootcamp video, didn't you?
Yeah. Did it work?
It worked like gangbusters on me. I was like, this is brilliant. I actually had somebody like, can you type up line by line every postcard that he put up, and I want to see what his copy was. It looked exactly like that.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at it, I was like, that's so weird. How did this convert so well? Like, or, why is this so compelling? I mean, obviously, the postcard thing, that was a whole other, like, the video technique was amazing as well, but
Thank you.
the copy really worked, and I could tell, like, it was only 2 pages long, if that.
Yeah. Yeah, see, most of my copy this is way shorter because I'm not spending 30 pages on trying to explain the product. It's all about pulling that pain out, giving them hope, offering the hope. Like and it's all through one story, one singular story with one focus. And when you do that, it's just amazing.
As well, the same style.
What's that?
Is that what you just said? I just heard you say about VSL.
Yep, all my VSLs are off this.
I mean, VSLs are kind of that style. They're closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The exact same thing.
Yep.
VSL, you're showing the text that way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And is it one slide for every line, or are you putting a couple?
One slide for every line, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Say it again.
One slide for every line. Yeah, but I do one slide for every line.
So you never see 2 lines on one screen. You're reading it.
I want it to go fast. It's fast. Yeah. The other thing, the one that he's talking about, you ever saw my affiliate bootcamp video? None of you guys have seen it. Yeah. Dude.
Best video ever.
Okay, so one night my wife and I, you guys remember, this is probably a year and a half ago, there was a kid that made a YouTube video, and he ended up passing away like a couple days later, but he sat there with a stack of cards and he told his whole story about his life. And my wife and I sat there for like 20 minutes watching this video, like bawling our eyes out. And I was like, that was the most captivating thing I've ever seen. And then I forgot that emotional moment. I'm like, I can freaking use that to make a lot of money, okay? And so So I went in the next day. I was like, that was the most captivating video I ever saw. So I wrote my little script. I gave it my assistant. She wrote out each of the cards. I sat down in a video. And I just went through the cards like this. And it was my very first invisible funnel. My whole thing was like, look, you guys have been hearing so much hype and so much crap. I'm not even going to talk in this video. This is what the deal is. This is why you should get involved. It's not going to cost you any money. Boom, 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 boom. Sign up down below. I didn't say what. Guys, hold the card up. And yeah, it's black and white. It's ninja. If you go to affiliatebootcamp.com, you can see it.
You just wanted to know what was on the next card. You're like, oh, I can't close this video. There's another card. It's going to show something.
Yeah. Affiliatebootcamp.com.
Bootcamp.
It's awesome. I was proud of that video. Okay. All right. So that's structure stuff. Again, I will send out to the master list. I'll send you guys like 5 or 6 just copies of my sales letters written. I write all my sales letters in text, in Notepad. That's why I hate my Mac, because my Mac doesn't have Notepad. They're not as good. I've tried every single one. TextMate's the closest, but that's why I keep my PC, because I love Notepad, and I write all my stuff in Notepad. So I'll send you a bunch of Notepad files. Anyway, so structure is important.
Okay, when you apply this email marketing, how do you then create a subject line? Is the subject line the first sentence of the high drama, or is it the summary of what they're going to get?
Subject line is what's going to open up, what's going to get them intrigued about the high drama, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, because you're saying to be a subject. Because you said you look at lines, right?
Yeah, I do less of an email. I need to do more of an email. I do more mostly through scripts. Personally, I use a lot more in scripts. Anyway, I want to move on because there's other good stuff. Okay, so the next step here is for this concept, also for just for like the whole invisible funnel concept as a whole. There's basically 3 steps I try to take someone through, and I wrote them up before we started here. So the first one is called primary question. Who here has ever been to Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny event? Okay. If you haven't been to that event, you first need to go to UPW, walk on fire, to experience that, and then come to Date with Destiny. But Date with Destiny, he does this whole like half-a-day thing about a concept he calls a primary question. He says that most of us aren't even aware of this concept, but we all have a primary question inside of our heads that drives everything about us. Okay? And for everyone it's different. But that question has been there since you've been a little kid, and it drives every single choice you make in your entire life. Okay? Some people, the question is, how can I make this better? And other people are always trying to fix things and trying to do that kind of stuff. There's other people, their primary question is, what's wrong with me? And their whole life they're living like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Other people, it could be, how can I don't know. Everyone's got a primary question, right? And in this process, he says, you sit down and think about, like, what is your primary question? Because after you're aware of it, then you can affect it. Before, most of us aren't even aware it's happening. But as soon as you're aware of what that is, then you can change it and you can change your destiny, right? Which is really interesting. So I want you guys to kind of think about it on your own. It's like, what is your primary question? What's that one question that drives all of your behavior in your life? Because we all have one. You got to look for it, but you'll find it. And so I started thinking about that, like for my customers, like, what are my customers' primary questions? Like, what's the thing that all of them are asking? There's not that many questions in the world. There've got to be similar type questions. And so when we had our call center, we had, at our peak, we had about 60 sales guys that were on the phones all day long. And I had the fun experience often to have to do compliance checks, because the problem with sales guys is they promise everything. So we had to record every phone call we ever did, ever. And then we had to do spot checks where I would just listen in on calls to make sure they're not over-promising, which they always were. And what was frustrating, like, I'd come down in a meeting and I would yell at them like, stop selling, you can't say this, 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 or this. Like, okay. And then I'd do spot checks like an hour later and they're doing it again. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Anyway, this is why I love automated webinars, not salespeople, because you guys taught my guys that. Anyway, so I started listening to these spot checks, and within about 2 or 3 hours, I realized really quick what my audience's primary question is. It's fascinating to me. Almost every single person, without a doubt, would ask some variation of this. If this thing works so good, how about you just give it to me for free, and then I'll pay you from the profits? And I was like, that's what all of them are thinking. Every single one of them thinking that. And so I was sitting there thinking, and before I wrote the .com Secrets X sales letter, which again has made us millions of dollars in the last 2 years, I was like, that's my hook. That's the pitch. That's the primary question. That's what they all have. And so I want to read you just the intro of that letter, because this is how I really addressed that. And I can't tell you how many people bought it, and then they'd call our officers, see us at events or whatever, and they're just like, that thing spoke to me. That was talking to exactly, like, that was my language. Okay, so it says this. I've got a quick question for you. Have you ever wanted to work from home or own your own business? Come on, you know that lifestyle, the one that everyone talks about, where you can work from home in your underwear or on your beach from the laptop. So why hasn't it happened for you yet? Come on, admit it. This isn't the first time you've been looking for a proven way to make money, is it? When's it going to be your turn? My guess is this. You saw somebody online promising you riches untold, but there was a catch. Doesn't it seem like there's always a catch? You have to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars to get started, right, before you make any money. Don't they know that's why you're there, because you need money? Doesn't it seem like that if all those gurus' courses and software work so good and they really believe in them, why don't they just give you their money-making system, and then after you made your money, then they'd get paid? Boom, okay? My market hears that. They are whipping their credit cards out to give me money. It's fascinating. So
they agree with you. They're like, yeah. They're like, yeah.
Because all of them are like, yeah. Yeah, and they're all pissed, and they're like, yeah, like why? And that's the question. So we hit the primary question, right? And so then my whole concept is we're selling a trial-based thing at it, okay? Well, hey, this is the deal. I know my system works so good. You pay $1, I'm gonna give that $1 to charity, but just $1 to make sure you're serious. We'll let you in the door. I'll give you full 30 days for coaching. You get 30 days to learn all my stuff, steal it all, walk you through a process, make a ton of money with it. After you make money, 30 days later, we'll bill you. And if you don't make any money, just email me. We won't bill you, because I'm not gonna bill you. But if you do, don't do anything, we'll bill you, okay? Boom, it works like crazy. That's why I love the invisible funnel thing, because this is the same pitch, okay? I might be jumping ahead here, but it makes sense right now. So if you look at like,
and the way you do like the emails every day after they're in there to like teach them stuff, like they have to consume that content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If we give them a daily video every day for 30 days,
Yeah.
we're like, hey, go watch this. This is the next part.
Yeah.
And keeps them accountable.
Do you know what their engagement is on those daily videos?
I probably could look at it, but I don't know.
But generally?
I have no idea. Yeah. Oh yeah, people watch them. Yeah, we have really good consumption on it. Because we also like, most people, they go through our stuff, usually before day 14, they'll make their first $1. And so we have them posted on Facebook. So we have like thousands of people that are like, I made my first $1, day 7, yay. And so we got tons of those. Yeah, it's really fun. So, so first thing is the primary question. And then from there, we're trying to cause an epiphany and then a magic bolt. So I want to share really quick, the epiphany. And again, Dagan will do a better job at teaching epiphany, but I just want to share with the sales videos we've done, I'm going to talk about the epiphany and then the magic bolt, because those are the two things that I really focus on. So the epiphany for .com Secrets X, after I go through that, I'm like, the epiphany you need to have is you need a list. And I don't just say that, I don't say you need a list, because everyone hears that. This comes back to the whole Inception thing. I never say you need a list. All I say, I talk about my list. I talk about, check this out, like when I first got started, this was what happened. I started building a list. I found out we were making $1 per month for everyone on our list. And then my list was 100 people, I was making $100 a month, 1,000 people was $1,000 a month. And I started telling the story about how it all worked. And I'm like showing these checks I made, and I just kind of show the whole process. I tell that story. And I never tell them they need a list, but by the time I'm done with that, they're like, I freaking need a list bad. Like that's all they can think about, right? So that's my big epiphany I'm trying to give them just by telling them the story of my story, okay? I wanna warn you guys, the biggest problem that most copywriters, people that write copy or that do stuff, is they're trying to give it to their person. Like, hey, you need a list. Hey, you need a list. Like, as soon as you don't tell them that and you just kind of talk about it, they're going to want it. They're going to desire it so much more because they think it was their idea. Okay, that's the whole Inception thing we're talking about. So that was the epiphany. The magic bolt for .com Secrets is you pay after you get paid. Or, you don't pay me until after you get paid. We did a partnership with Howie Berg, the world's fastest reader. Any of you guys seen him before? You guys never seen Howie Berg before? Dude, this is like the most fascinating experience in the world. Go to YouTube and type in Howard Berg, world's fastest reader, and Fox News. He read the entire healthcare bill live on Fox News in 50 minutes. And then he's like, boom, 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 page by page. And then they quizzed him on it, and boom, he just knew all the answers. Amazing. We've had him in our office 3 or 4 times. One time we brought him to our office, and we brought a local author, gave him the book. He read her entire book in like, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes. And then she quizzed him on it. He knew every single answer. Fascinating. Like the coolest thing in the world. And so I had him take our entire company through his process, and in 4 hours, everyone at least doubled the readings. Most people was like 10 to 20 times faster in 4 hours. It's an amazing process. And so I wanted to do an invisible funnel with him because the primary question, Epiphany Magic Bolt, was really easy with that, because the whole thing is like why do you want to read faster? Okay, and in our market's a couple people. There's business owners, like you got all this stuff, information overload, but if you could read faster, you could get through it. We had students as a target market. We have a couple markets like that we're going after, and our big magic bolt with him was basically this. Look, I'm going to teach you how to double your reading. It's going to take 4 hours, and it's going to cost you $100. But we're not going to charge that $100 till after you're done. So come on the webinar, we'll double your reading. You do a speed test at the beginning, you do it at the end. If we haven't doubled your reading, let us know, we won't bill you. If we did double your reading, don't say anything, we'll bill you $97. And Howard, he's been on infomercials, he's done tons of stuff, and he said that of all the funnels he's ever seen in his life, this one was the most efficient, made the most amount of money. So again, it was just an invisible funnel. But again, the whole offer, the whole magic bullet is just double your reading after you're doing it. For living on a coupon or couponing company, again, it was, we're going to teach you this stuff. You're going to go do your shopping trip. We're going to save you $100. Then after that, we're going to bill you the money. If you go shopping, you don't save your $100, we're not going to bill you $20. Okay? With our dating one we're doing, the whole thing is like this weekend, you were going to get a girlfriend. So you watch the webinar on Thursday. Friday, Saturday, you go out, you get your girlfriend, and Monday we're going to bill you. If you don't get a girlfriend over the weekend, email us, and we're not going to bill you. Okay? And that's the whole offer. You guys see that? So this... Do you guys all hear that? Do you guys all hear that? He said, we'll mail you a dog. Anyway. Okay, so... Oh, dear me. Back to... Okay. I don't even know where we were at. So my point is, when I'm developing an invisible funnel, that's my big thing I'm looking at. Is like, what's my magic bullet? What can I provide for them in a day or two after they experience this event that I can bill them for afterwards? So the go get a girlfriend this weekend, you don't pick one up, you don't bill us. Save money on your grocery trip, we're not going to bill you. Like that whole process, when that's your value proposition, it comes back just like the .com Secrets X one, where I'm going to make you a bunch of money and you only get paid afterwards. Okay. Any questions about that at all? Cool. Okay. All right, next thing. This is kind of cool too. So this is another Tony Robbins concept. I'm a big Tony fan, as you guys can tell. So when I went to Tony's first event the first time, he talked about a concept called the 6 human needs. Who here has never heard about that before? The 6 human needs. Who has never heard about that before? Okay, this is really interesting. So he talked about everyone does things for different reasons, okay? But there's only 6 reasons why anybody does anything, okay? All of us, there's 6 needs that we all have internally, and anything we do is based off one of these 6 needs, okay? And so if you look at them, the first need is certainty. Did I spell it right? Okay? We like to feel certain in things. That's why we like having a house, and that's why we like having a spouse or a girlfriend. We like feeling certain about ourselves, right? Now what's interesting is that the next human need is the exact opposite of certainty. Okay? It's uncertainty. So number 2 is uncertainty. Uncertainty or variety. Okay? We like to go out there and have fun, right? So as humans, we're kind of screwed up. Like we like certainty. We need that as a thing. We all need to be certain. We like to have that certainty. But we also like to have variety and fun and excitement. So we want both of these things. Isn't that weird? Okay. Now the third human need is interesting because it's significance. We all like to feel special, right? And significance is you stand up on a pedestal saying, "Look how significant I am." We all like to feel significant, right? Who here likes feeling significant? Okay. As a bunch of entrepreneurs in this room, I know that most of us do what we do because we want to feel significant, okay? So don't lie to me. I know why you guys are all here, okay? We like to feel good about ourselves. But the interesting thing is that the fourth human need is the opposite of that, okay? Significance, look how great I am. The fourth human need is love and connection. Not so much how great I am, but I need all of you guys here, okay? So this is love and connection, number 4. Love and connection. Okay, now the first 4 needs are the needs of the body, and then the last 2 are the needs of the spirit. The last 2 needs of the spirit, which number 5 is growth. We all like to grow. And number 6, we all like to contribute. Growth and contribution. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this concept, when he explained it to me, that really got me fired up, was if you look at this, the spiritual needs. A lot of people can go without life without having those. Like you don't always have to have those, but these needs are always going to be met. Okay. The reason why, if you look at a marriage, the reason why. I mean, let me step back, actually. You look at like dating, when you first meet someone the very first time, right? You meet a pretty girl and you see her and you ask her out on a date, and you go on your first date and it's new and it's exciting and you have all this variety and this uncertainty, right? It's exciting, okay? And then she's flirting with you, she's asking you questions and you're feeling very significant about yourself. And then she gives you a kiss at the end of the night and you feel some love and connection, okay? And what's interesting is when anybody meets 3 of these 4 needs, it causes an addiction, okay? Which is why we all get addicted to falling in love, because 3 of our needs are met instantly, okay? Is that cool? Okay, you think about other things in life. Let's say it's partying with your friends, right? So you go out every night, you party, having fun, boom, you get in uncertainty. Hang out with your friends, you're having fun, you feel significant, you feel like you're cool, you got buddies, they're all hanging out, you're drinking it, whatever, you get significance, boom, it causes an addiction. Okay, so anytime 3 of your 4 needs are met, it causes an addiction. Now back to the marriage example, what's interesting is, so you go through this process, you're in love and everything's fine, but you start craving certainty, right? So that's why you decide, hey, let's settle down, let's get married, boom, so you'll get married, suddenly you get certainty, you got significance, and you get love and connection. Okay? But all of a sudden now you're married, you don't go on dates that often, so you kind of start losing some of the variety, right? But you have these other things. But then your wife, like, at first you think you walk on water, right? You're the greatest thing in the world. But after a year, 2 years, 3 years, Dagan's going to find out that eventually his wife's going to be like, it's just Dagan, like,
She knows.
I see him all the time. And suddenly you start losing significance, and all of a sudden that addiction's gone, right? And that's what happens to marriages. And so what happens is, this is why 50% of the society or more are divorced, because you lose your significance, you lose uncertainty, and all of a sudden your body starts craving. You need to find it in other places, okay? Because we're going to meet all these needs no matter what. And so if you're not meeting them at home, you're going to look for other places, okay? Some of us look at our jobs. Like, we're not feeling significant at home, so boom, we go and we find significance at our job. We find love and connection in our job. We find certainty, variety. Like a lot of us, we get addictions from our business, right? Whose business here fulfills all 4 of these needs for them? Okay, I know it does for me. It fulfills it all the time. And it's very interesting, okay? And so when I started learning about this, first I looked at my personal life, which was really kind of fun to do, and look at all areas of my life. And I started looking at my kids. Like, if you look at your kids, and my kids are young right now, but they're getting older. What's interesting is you look at this as they start doing things like growing up. Like, if your kids, one thing Tony said that was interesting, he said that there's never been a marriage where all of these needs are being met that ends in a divorce. If all these needs are being met, you're not looking for them anywhere else. Same thing with kids. If these needs are happening at home with your kids, they're not going to go after drugs and all these other things. Because they're going after drugs because they need some variety, they need significance, they need things they aren't getting. So if these things are being met in the people in your life, it keeps them around. It's really kind of an interesting concept. So I started thinking about this from a sales standpoint. Like, why do our customers buy stuff from us over and over and over again? Jim Lillig used to work for me for about a year, and Jim called all of our customers SIBs, serial information buyers. He's like, they just like to buy and buy and buy. There's this addiction that happens, right? And so if I can cause an addiction with my audience through the copy, the web, all these things we're doing, it starts creating and causing some really cool stuff. And so when I write my copy and I do my webinars and things like that, I try to figure out how can I create these things in what I'm doing to give them, to create an addiction with me. I want my customers addicted to me. Does that make sense? Okay, so look at, like, how can I make these guys feel certain in my copy? Okay, well, certain, like if you bring it to a place where you're sharing things that they believe in already, where they have certain, you're bringing in messages that they're like, yeah, this makes sense, this fits with my core values, is good. Okay, uncertainty is good as well. That's why these pattern interrupts, right, switching to invisible funnels and doing things that are different is exciting, because people don't want to see the same video sales letter every day, another video sales letter, another video, like, they want that variety, they want this excitement and this engagement. So you create some uncertainty and some variety, they get excited to buy that. Okay, significance, how do you make your audience feel significant? Okay, a lot of things you can do to make them feel very significant, and same with love and connection. And so if you can weave these things into your messaging, you can cause addictions with your audience, and it's really kind of a cool thing. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool.
I like it.
Cool. Okay, so causing addiction. All right. Got a couple more cool points here. All right, move to the next thing. Any questions about that before I move on?
Nope. I was just to say that's super valuable. Like, I've learned that from Tony, but like putting it in this context and giving more conscious like recognition to, okay, my copy or my making videos of this content or teaching the people or training, because like for me what I do, it's all about meeting all those needs. And whether it's speaking or training or building teams of people, like things that I do match all of them. Like, yeah. It's all of them. I love it, regardless of money or how much come to go. Like, matching all those needs. So, but now to like put it, okay, how can I create that for them and cause that addiction? That was great.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
What is the name of the video you talked about when you have
affiliatebootcamp.com. Yeah. Okay, next one. All right, so this is cool. So we launched our .com Secrets Local automated webinar like 2.5 years ago, I think. And I spent like 6 months building this thing out, making it as perfect as I possibly could. I went to Dustin and Dave, learned from them, I learned from like everybody to like script the most perfect presentation, because I just wanted to make sure it was going to make me a lot of money. So I spent a lot of time. We launched and went out there, and the initial we launched it through ClickBank, and our initial profit for every person that registered for the webinar, we were making $9.45. So not too bad. So, and that was after paying affiliates and that kind of stuff. That was like, our ClickBank check back was $9.46 per registration, which was awesome. And then a little while later, I was at an event. It was actually one Dustin Davis event. And I got up to do something, and I was speaking, and I did my little dog and pony show, and I sold some stuff. And I thought I did pretty good. And then in the audience there was this little old guy sitting in the back, and he's kind of like sitting there like this. And those kind of people always make you nervous because you're like, why is he staring at me like that? Like, what's going on? And he looked at me like he wanted to talk to me. So I did my thing, people around the back, I sold some stuff. And then he kind of walked over to me and said, hey, Russell, do you know who I am? I was like, you look familiar, but I don't really know who you are. And he said, my name's Ted Thomas, and I would like to take you to lunch today. And I had heard Ted Thomas's name before. And the reason why I'd heard of him, the very first Glazer Kennedy event I actually ever went to, there were like these people talking like, hey, Ted Thomas is going to speak now, you guys. And they said, they called him the Pied Piper of speaking. And I was like, all right. So I heard these rumors about him and stuff. And anyway, later he actually sent me a video of him at a Robert Kiyosaki event, an event with like 1,000 people in the room. And it showed him walking down the aisles with about 250 people following him to the back of the room with all of their credit cards in hand. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. So this is my thing. As soon as it says his name, I'm like, okay, I know who you are. You just watched me close. Now you want to take me to lunch. This is really, really awkward. Like, how am I going to like deal with this, right? So we go to lunch. He starts asking me these little questions and just asking me, it's kind of like small talk, and I'm just answering stuff. And then he stops and he's like, do you know what I've been doing to you for the last like 5 minutes? I'm like, no, what? And he's like, look at your head. And I'm like, what? He's like, your head's still moving. I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, I want to teach you. He's like, you did pretty good in the room. You sold like I don't know how much we made, 50, 60 grand. He's like, if I would have spoke to that same room, I would have closed almost everyone. And he's like, there's one difference between how I speak and how you speak, and it's 2 words. It's called trial closes. And I'm like, okay, I've heard of trial closes before. I thought I understood what they were. And obviously I didn't. So we sat down, and he started teaching me about trial closes, how they work. He said, Russell, if you ever watch me speak in a room, he said, I come in and I start using the same trial closes I just used at you when we sat down to eat. He said, I just ask little questions. Does that make sense? Just ask little things and just little questions here and there. He says, within about a minute to a minute and a half of me speaking, he's like, if you're in the back of the room and you watch the audience, he said, everyone's heads are going like this. And they do this the entire 90 minutes. They're shaking up now like this. And when I go to buy, he said, they've been saying yes to me for 90 minutes. It's not hard for them to say yes right now. He said, I do it by adding these little trial closes in all the time. And he said, the way I did initially, because I was really nervous, was I got a stack of note cards and wrote down all these trial closes. I threw them on the ground when I would speak. And I would speak. Every time I'd step on one, I would look down and I would say that trial close. And I would step on the next one, I'd say that trial close. So I started saying them all the time. And he's like, you should just try it out next time you speak. And so I was like, that's pretty cool. So anyway, I jump on the plane, flying back to Boise, and I pull out a pad of paper, and I start thinking of as many trial closes as I can think of. And basically what trial closes is just a question where you're asking somebody anything to get them to say yes. Okay, questions you know the answer is always going to be yes. So I started listening to as many as I could think, and then I went back to my webinar, and I listened to my, I think it was like 3-hour-long automated webinar, and I listened to it, the whole thing. I thought, I could put a trial close right there, I could put it right there, I could put it right there. And so I went through, and I actually, I have it right here. So it's like 5 pages of every trial close that I put into my presentation with the minute and what the trial close was. And I sat down and I recorded myself just saying boom, boom, each of these lines. I gave it to my brother. He took my automated webinar. He plugged them in. He's my audio video guy. Plugged them all in, the whole thing. Re-uploaded the webinar. Started driving some more traffic. And let me see if I can find the numbers real quick. Our net dollar per lead went from $9.45 to $16.50 by adding in trial closes. That was a 74.61% increase in closing just by adding in these words into my presentation. Is that cool? Yep. Is that a trial close that I just used on you guys? Is that cool? Okay, so I'm going to read some of these so you guys can kind of start hearing these over and over and over again. So at minute 105 of my presentation, I said, so that's why I'm so excited for this webinar. You guys excited for this too? Are you ready for the same thing to change, the same change that's about to happen to you? Yes. Boom, there's 2 yeses I got. Okay, 21 seconds later I said, this webinar is going to make more success stories than anything we've ever done before. And then I inserted a testimonial. And then one thing that Ted taught me that was really cool, he said, anytime you have a testimonial, he's like, that's the most fertile ground for you to launch trial closes. He says, most people will show testimonial and then move on. He says, you show that testimonial and you stop and you drop like 20 trial closes in a row. Is that awesome? Can you guys imagine being like what she just did? Like, what would that do for your life? How cool would that be if you had this exact same experience? Is this making sense to you guys? Awesome, move on. Okay, but I just dropped like 5 right there in a row. So every time I had any testimonial, I dropped 4 or 5 real quick, boom, 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 boom in a row. Okay, next one. I talked about free software and said, who here wants to get a free copy of the software? Just adding a question. Can you see how the software is going to shortcut your success? Do you want a free copy of it? Does that sound good? I use does that sound good a lot. Cool, I use cool a lot. Is that cool? That cool, you guys? Is that cool? Okay. Are you ready for this opportunity? Do you want to be our next success story? How are you going to feel when you start doing deals like this? Anyway, there's just tons of these. There's one that's really kind of funny. This one's like my blatant joke that actually really worked well. Okay, so I'm on a webinar, an automated webinar. So I said, if you want to see results right now, then nod your head yes. I know I can't see you, but it's important. I want to make sure you're participating. Don't you think? Do you guys think it's important? So nod your head yes, nod right now. So I actually told them to nod their head. Anyway, so I just went through and I just inserted all these little tiny trial closes like that just throughout the entire process. And like I said, we had a 74% increase in closing rate from these little trial closes. Okay, this is all Inception stuff. You get them saying yes ahead of time, you guys, it works awesome.
Written copy too.
Yeah, so I actually started going back and using all my video sales letters. I went back and I started adding them all in. If you guys look at you know, I speak now, I just like, it's part of my language patterns now. I'm always saying it. All my sales videos have it. Everything I do now, I do in trial closes. But I just want to recommend you guys trial closes. Like, I heard about them before in the past, and I thought they were like a way to test to see if the audience was actually going to buy. That's how I always heard about it. But it's not. It's just getting them to start nodding their head. And the more you can do that, the better. You can't overdo trial closes. And again, the best times to do trial closes are like after testimonial. If you are going to talk about features and benefits, it's also a great time. Like, can you guys imagine how that would help you? Like that feature or that benefit, isn't that awesome? Like, those are great times to do it. It's all part of the Inception, you guys. You get them nodding, it's so much easier to close the sale.
Just a finer point of trial closes. It's not just getting them to say yes to anything. I mean, it's more powerful when you can get them to agree to a premise that sort of logically convinces them.
Yeah.
It's like, if this didn't cost anything, would you do it? Yes. Okay. If you could afford it, could you do it? Yes. And then show them how they can afford it. Does this make you afford it? Yes. And now.
Yep, weaving it all together.
Did you do that?
Awesome.
Or did you actually have a ton in there or just get them to say yes?
Both. I did everything. Yeah. Yeah. If you look at any of my sales videos now, I'm always like every probably 5th or 6th words. Like, does that make sense? Is that cool?
How much longer did it get when you added them all in?
It's not that much. Like actual verbal time, it's probably an extra like 7 minutes maybe.
Really?
Because it's all just little like one line. Like, is that cool? Does that make sense? You guys doing with me? All right. So, yeah.
We all got homework.
Y'all got homework. Go back to your videos. Okay, cool. All right, a couple more points here. So the next thing we're doing after trial closes. So with my kids, we had this really fun thing where like they saw some cartoon like Bugs Bunny where they got hypnotized, and so we started like they always want to be hypnotized now. So we like fake hypnotize our kids and tell them to do stuff, and they like wander around. It's really funny, right? And so kids are so awesome. And so anyway, I started thinking about like hypnosis stuff, and I know we got a couple hypnotists in the room, which is cool because they'll back this stuff up after I tease them about it a little bit. But it's one of those things that like you kind of joke about, right? And when I first got in this business, I went to an Armin Morin seminar, and he had a hypnotist come on. So I went on stage, and he turned me into a robot and a bunch of other funny things. And so that was like my experience with hypnosis, right? Anyway, then when Mark Joyner was one of my very first mentors, and I noticed the way he would write his copy, he would use hypnosis in it. It was really interesting. He'd intro his letter, and then before he transitioned to like what he was doing, he would do like basic hypnosis stuff. He was like, okay, now before we go on, I want you to understand that as I start talking to you, and the words I will share with you, the concerns you have and the frustrations you have with other gurus are going to fade away, and you're just going to be focused on my voice, and we're going to be able to spend a lot of time together. And the next 90 minutes is going to go extremely fast. You're going to feel like it's 5 or 6 minutes, whereas the reality is 90 minutes, but it's going to go so fast, you're going to be so excited and so engaged and so ready to go. And then he boom, moves into the thing. And I was just like, I started seeing him doing some copy and stuff. So anyway, we've been weaving in these hypnosis things into our copy, and it's just been really fun. Again, initially it was kind of like a joke, but now it's like the results, the impact they're having are really actually effective, especially in sales videos, because you say it differently than you read it. You know what I mean? And it works really well. So a couple things about hypnosis. So one thing you do with hypnosis is cool is you can cause amnesia. Okay, which means you can get people to forget stuff. So if you want people to forget about the other people in your market or people that they've jaded them in the past or something like that, you can tell them that. Say, look, over the next 10 minutes of this video, you may have been jaded in the past, but you're going to forget about those people as we move on. You're going to be able to focus directly on what I'm going to be sharing with you right now. So you can get them to forget things they're going to stick in the way of them purchasing. Okay? I know maybe in the past you've been burned by other gurus, or maybe you try to buy products that are too expensive, didn't work. You can forget about it right now, because right now we're going to be focusing on something that actually does work. Okay? And you're just kind of hypnotizing them to forget the stuff you want them to. The next thing is you can tell them what to remember, which is kind of cool. So you can come in and basically say, look, when this sales video is over, for the next hour after it's over, the only thing you're going to be able to focus on and think about is this message. And you're going to know that it's something you need to be part of because blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you can tell them what's going to be happening to them afterwards, and it's just a subconscious little thing. Next thing is disassociation. So I can't remember one of the influence books. I can't remember if it was Cialdini's or one of the other ones. But he was talking about one of the most powerful ways that you can sell somebody is by changing their environment, right? That's why we bring people to a big seminar, hotel room, we speak to them, because when they're out of their environment, it's way easier to sell to them, right? Do you guys all agree with that? Yep. Okay, same thing, trial close. Same thing with phone sales. Like behind a computer, I can sell something from like $1 up to maybe $1,000 pretty easily. And after you get above there, the price resistance is hard because people are in they're in their environment and they got their computer there and they're feeling good. But as soon as you can break them out of that pattern and bring them into a different environment, you can sell stuff way higher. That's why call centers work so good, because you're breaking them out of that pattern. That's why invisible funnels work, because you're taking them out of their comfort zone. And when you change the environment and you start controlling the environment, you can do all sorts of cool stuff. And so one thing you can do through this hypnosis stuff, the same thing, like if you're in a video or whatever, is you can use that. Obviously, you're not changing the environment, but you can kind of use hypnosis to change the environment, if that makes sense. You can disassociate them with where they're at. So a lot of people do it at the webinars, and I think they do it ineffectively, but they always say, like, you should shut down your chat windows, close Skype, close your email, and just focus on my webinar. That's what you guys, most people have done that on their webinars, right? You can do the same kind of thing, but change it where it's more hypnotic, where you're like, hey, as we move on, these other distractions are going to be there. I want you to focus on this, have these things fade away in the background, and the only message you're going to be able to focus on is this, because it's the most important thing for you right now. Okay? So I'm just associating them with the environment they're in and focusing them on the environment we want. Does that make sense? Dissociation, time distortion. I talked about that already. Where basically, next 60 minutes is going to be the most exciting time for you. It's going to go very, very quickly, very, very rapidly. You're going to manipulate time for them. A couple other things. After you've got their trust, there's some really cool statements you can use. The first one I actually learned from Dustin and Dave. Who's here has been to their Power Day? A couple of you guys have been to their Power Day. One of the most valuable things I got from their Power Day.
Dustin should have come.
How come he didn't come here?
His wife wouldn't let him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Women. It's because she wants certainty and she does not want him out anyway.
All this did for you.
If all this did. Yeah, so this is awesome. So this first one, this is one of the most powerful things for me. So when they do their presentation, they're doing all this build it, and they drop the price, right? Let's say it's 15 grand, they drop the high value. And for most of us, at least me, like I would always get nervous, like here's 15 grand, I'm like, oh, don't worry, no, I'm not gonna sell that much. And I start backpedaling really, really quick. And what they taught me is at this point right here, you have to justify that value. If you don't justify that value, then it loses everything. So they come up, they get to this point right here and they stop, and then they drop between 3 and 5, they call them if-all statements. So if all this did for you was help you to finally be able to fire your job, it'd be worth 15 grand. Like, yeah, cool. Well, if all this did for you was help you to be able to call back your relatives who've been making fun of you for the last 3 years for buying all the internet marketing crap, and finally give you the ability to call them back and make fun of them, would be worth 15 grand. People are like, yeah. Okay? And I give them 3 or 4 if-all statements like that, and as soon as I've done that, now they basically said, yeah, that would be worth 15 grand, and now I can start my price drop. At that point, though, they've set the value for themselves. Okay? Those if-all statements are powerful. If you do not set the value of that through if-all statements, it just flattens the value of what you're proposing. Okay? Next ones are must-do statements. After you got their trust, now you can start shifting from to telling them what to do. So next thing you must do is you must click on the link down below. Okay, don't be shy about it and like, oh, if you want a product, click on the add to cart button. No, at this point you've gotten their trust through your story. Now you start telling them what to do. You must do this. Now you must go click on this button. After you click on this button, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to fill out this form. The next thing you're going to do, you start just telling them what you're going to do. Does that make sense? Okay, because at that point you've got the trust, and you're in the authority standpoint, and they will listen to you as you start giving them must-do commands, and also the can-dos. Initially, in the earlier part of our copy, a lot of stuff is like, can you imagine what this would be like? Okay, we're asking, or we're telling them like, yeah, you should imagine. Towards the end of it, we shift to, now you can imagine what it's going to be like. Okay, So same as saying, can you imagine? Because that's before we have trust. After we have trust, I want you to imagine this. Imagine this. And we're starting to tell them what to imagine. We're telling them what they can do. Okay? So again, after the trust is set, you start your must-dos and your can-do statements. And that's the hypnosis tricks we use in our copy. Is that pretty cool, you guys?
Yeah.
So we weave those things throughout and it works really well.
Where'd you pull those from?
I got a really cool book. It's actually in my room. I can grab it for you. It's a really cool hypnosis sales book. I don't know who wrote it, but it's awesome.
Cool.
Do not know.
Yeah.
I'll go grab it during the break and bring it down. You guys can see what it is. But it's awesome. That's where I got all the hypnosis like things I found out that we've weaved is all from that book. It's really cool. Oh yeah. I'll bring it down and show you guys. It's cool. Okay, 2 more things. The next one. This one I learned. I was watching a presentation from Chris Haddad at. I think he was speaking at one of those. Mind Valley events, I think. Anyway, I was listening to his presentation, it was good, but at the very end of the presentation, he dropped this bomb that has made me so much money, I just want to share with you. He said that, we're always talking about like how do we cause desire for our audience? And what he said that when he writes copy, the desire amplifiers he uses, he's like, there's 7 desire amplifiers I use. He said, you know what they are? He said, they're the 7 deadly sins. So if you think about it, the 7 deadly sins are the desires that everybody has. Okay, the desire for lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. He said when he starts trying to do desire amplifiers, it's the 7 deadly sins he's touching. Is that interesting? Yep. And that's what he does. So when you're writing your copy and you're starting to try to cause desire, how can you cause desire by making them lust after what you have? How do you cause desire? Through gluttony, through greed, through sloth. Okay, greed, I want money. Sloth, I want to be lazy about it. These are all the offer stuff Dagan's talking about, right? Wrath, I'm sick of my boss. I want him to die. Okay, envy, they want people to envy them, and they envy other people. And pride, they all want to be proud. So, anyway, 7 deadly sins are interesting ways to cause desires as you're trying to do desire motivation stuff.
How do you use that with the porn product?
What's that?
How would you use that with the porn product?
My porn product? Lust is a sin. I'm trying to get rid of. I'm trying to get rid of.
But they lust after not doing it anymore.
Yeah, I think most people, because lust is a desire, right? Like, doesn't mean like they're lusting after the women, obviously, or the men, whatever they're in. But they're lusting to get out of that.
Also, probably that market's going to have more of a connection to a religious aspect, because if they're feeling guilt, that's also because they have a belief system that's tied to religious, or be tied to that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like me, that wouldn't pull me in.
Yeah.
If someone has that'd be awesome anchors to use.
I have a friend with a porn addiction, and he's been working on it for a while. Like, he can't have a sexual relationship because of porn. So lust still comes in there. I mean, this, getting over porn would allow him to actually be with a woman.
Yeah. It's a real thing. Most marriages, you guys know, like the stats are scary. Like most marriages that break up are because of porn. Like it's interesting. Anyway, it's an epidemic. I'll sell you my product if you want it. Just let me know. Okay. All right. Okay, I got 3 more things, or one more core concept, and I'm done. There's basically and I learned this originally from Ryan Dice. There's three closes at the end of anything. Your wealth imagery close, where you're focusing on their desire. The second, so your desire close, your logic close, and your fear close. Because obviously the desire is what they buy off of, right? So 90% of my sales copy is desire. Then we always have to justify it logically, and then usually fear, which is the scarcity. So logically, and this works really well in it works in most of our markets. This is a hard thing to teach, and it's a hard concept to understand, but if you get it, it works so good. So what I try to do, I call it my math close because I don't have a cool name for it yet. I'll call it the invisible close or something, I don't know. But what I try to do is, for example, we sold these membership sites in a box. So somebody could buy from me and then they'd get a membership site they could go and resell. And so what I try to do is my first key, because I'm looking at away from pain towards pleasure type thing, right? So the way I start this close is basically saying, look, I'm going to show you guys how I make decisions in my life right now. Okay, this thing I'm giving you can cause residual income. If you sell one, let's say it's $20 a month. If you sell 10 of them, that's $200 a month. You sell 100 of them, that's $1,000 a month, right? Or $2,000 a month. And so I start coming back and saying, look, now, for me, this is how I make my decisions in life. Like when I wanted a new car, I went to the dealership, and the dealership told me it was $600 a month for a car. So I went back home, I did the math, I said, okay, $600, that means I need 30 members in my membership site, went and sold 30 members, got the money, and bought the car, okay? So I start showing them how they can use this thing as a tool. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then I started diving into them and said, now look, most of you guys, your goal is not to go buy a brand new Ferrari, right? But most of you guys have got like these bills that are bugging you, right? And so I said, like, for example, you probably got a car payment that's maybe $200 a month, $300 a month. You probably got student loans you still are paying off. You probably got a house. So what we want to do is I want to focus on the very first one. So let's say your student loans are $200 a month. So what you got to do is you got to sell 10 members into our membership site, and boom, your student loans are gone forever. Can you imagine that? Just 10 members, you never have to pay student loans again. Okay, now that bill's gone. Now you pick your next one. Your next one's your car payment. That's $300 a month. You sell 15 members into that, and boom, all of a sudden your bills are gone forever. Okay, and so I go through and really quickly I show them that by selling 10 or 15 memberships, everyone their bills disappear, and suddenly now they can get out of the away from pain. Now I said, now you're at that point. Now we can start focusing on the pleasurable things. Like, what do you want in life? And we start shifting them over to that. Does that make sense? And so, again, it's hard to explain it in a way, but that's how I do my math close, and it works so effectively. I always try to look at like how can I show them, first off, how I would use this, and then how they can use it to get them out of pain, and then how to use that to get them towards pleasure. Okay? It works really good in the how to make money market. We've done similar things in other markets. It's not quite as like cut and dry. It's a lot harder to kind of weave that in, but you can do it. But that's just something to kind of think about when you're doing closes. Your logic close is by doing it through that kind of a storytelling process of, here's how I would do it, here's how you should do it to get out of your pain, and here's how to do it to move towards pleasure. And when I do that whole process, it works awesome. So when you guys add those elements into your copy, to your webinars, to your speaking, to your scripts, all the communication with your audience, that's how I found you can cause inception in people's minds. Where we're not just telling them, hey, buy my crap. You're just building this environment and doing things and using these tools, and suddenly they're like, man, I want to buy that crap. And as soon as they believe that, as soon as they've sold themselves on it, the whole process is easier. Conversions shoot up, retention's better, everything's awesome. So there you go. There's Inception.